Okay, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're descending through the physical and historical layers of the world's most secretive sovereign state. And our goal here is pretty simple, actually. We want to separate the documented facts from the wild, internet-fueled speculation. You know, people love to say that the Vatican is the most powerful and secretive country on the planet, that they're jealously guarding these nasty little secrets. And honestly, that perfectly captures the intense fascination and suspicion we all kind of feel. But today, we're going to act as completely impartial navigators. We're going to look strictly at what the source material actually reveals, and we're leaving the fiction at the door. So here's our roadmap. We're starting with number 1, what lies beneath. Then 2, the secret archives. 3, a tangled financial web. 4, unsolved mysteries. And finally, 5, looking to the stars. Think of this like a physical descent into the Vatican's vaults before we finally turn around and look up at the cosmic horizon. Section 1, what lies beneath? The 1900-year search for St. Peter. Right, so our investigation starts in the literal mud and ancient foundations beneath St. Peter's Basilica. For decades, researchers have been hunting for the first-century bones of Jesus' first martyr. And this journey is just incredible. It spans 1900 years. We're talking from Peter's crucifixion in 64 AD at Nero's circus to the first basilica going up over his grave in 326 AD. Fast forward a bit, and in the 1940s, these highly secret nighttime excavations kick off, culminating in 1968 when the bones are officially identified by Pope Paul VI. Oh, and fun fact, they were almost lost entirely during those digs because a Monsignor named Caius secretly moved them. He actually thought the archaeologists were being disrespectful. But what finally solved this massive millennia-old puzzle? It was a piece of ancient Greek graffiti on the tomb wall that literally just read, "Peter is within." When you combine that with traces of imperial purple dye they found near the remains, well, scholars had the exact details they needed. They were finally able to confirm that this robust 60-year-old male skeleton was, in fact, the saint himself. Section 2, the secret archives, shadowy records of World War II. Moving up from the dirt, we enter the 50 miles of shelving inside the Vatican Apostolic Archive. We really need to impartially weigh the highly charged debate around World War II here. On one side, you've got the Hitler's Pope theory, where critics argue Pope Pius XII ignored the Holocaust and appeased the Nazis. But on the flip side, you have this secret resistance theory. Historians in this camp argue he was actually secretly undermining the regime and hiding thousands of Jewish refugees right inside Catholic churches. It's a heavy debate, and knowing that, Pope Francis recently threw the doors open to these archives 9 years early just to help historians finally nail down the truth. Now, while the Vatican's broader institutional role is still hotly debated, the source documents absolutely prove that specific individuals completely abused their Catholic credentials. Take Bishop Alois Hudel, for instance. He was an Austrian nationalist and a known Nazi sympathizer. The records show he actively supplied Red Cross passports to fleeing Nazis. He literally helped horrific war criminals like Treblinka Commandant Franz Schengel escape justice and run off to Argentina. Section 3, a tangled financial web. The Institute for the Works of Religion. Let's move to the next layer and look at the Cold War era, specifically the Vatican Bank. To truly grasp the sheer power and the scale of the conspiracies here, you have to understand the money involved. The bank's modern assets, they're estimated at over $5 billion. $5 billion. That is a massive, massive pool of wealth, operating entirely behind closed sovereign doors. And there's this jarring disconnect we have to talk about. Publicly, the bank's mission is beautiful: distribute money for religious and charitable works around the globe. But privately, it has faced some explosive allegations of underworld ties. We're talking laundering mafia money and colluding with the highly secretive P2 Masonic Lodge. These controversies were absolutely massive, and they heavily plagued the tenure of the American Archbishop running the show, Paul Marcinkus. Section 4, unsolved mysteries, popes, bankers, and missing persons. Those murky financial waters in the 70s and 80s, they directly spawned some of history's most sensational unsolved true crime mysteries. Just look at this chaotic timeline. In 1978, a reformist pope, John Paul I, mysteriously dies after just 33 days in office. Then, in 1982, prominent banker Roberto Calvi is found hanging in London. A year later, in 1983, a 15-year-old girl named Emanuela Orlandi just vanishes into thin air in Rome. It's the ultimate perfect storm for conspiracy theorists, who immediately linked the Pope's sudden death to the mafia and the collapse of Banco Ambrosiano. Roberto Calvi, who people literally called God's banker, was right at the center of this. His death was initially ruled a suicide, but the physical anomalies make that almost impossible to believe. He was found hanging under Blackfriars Bridge, right? But his pockets were stuffed with bricks. There were 0 scuff marks on the bridge, and absolutely no brick dust on his hands. Throw in the fact that $1 billion was missing from Banco Ambrosiano. Yeah, the evidence strongly suggests he was silenced for blackmailing powerful figures over that missing cash. And the disappearance of Emanuela shows how deep this mistrust really runs. The theories are all over the place: international human trafficking, internal Vatican abuse. Some even think she was used as leverage for the bank collapse, or that she was tied to Ali Agca, the guy who tried to assassinate the Pope. The whole thing is wild, and it gets even more complicated because the Vatican recently admitted they actually have a secret dossier on her case.
So the real question is, who actually stands to gain when powerful institutions, secret lodges, and organized crime all intersect? If there's one thing to take away from this section, it's that during the Cold War, when the CIA, the Mafia, and the Vatican all shared anti-communist goals, those shadows combined to make the absolute truth almost impossible to find.
Section 5. Looking to the Stars, the Vatican Observatory. For our final section, we're climbing out of the underground true crime scandals and looking strictly upward at the Vatican's highly advanced deep space operations. There's a really fascinating divide here. The conspiracy theorists swear that the Mount Graham telescope, which, yes, has the controversial nickname Lucifer, is secretly searching for incoming UFOs or even an alien Jesus. But the official science? The Jesuit priests running the facility are just conducting highly respected mainstream astronomy. They're tracking near-Earth asteroids, meteorites, and studying the centers of active galaxies. I love this quote from Father Jean-Baptiste Kikuea. He says, "If tomorrow we come really to realize that there is life elsewhere, that is not going to be for us a surprise, but maybe a confirmation that God truly is more than what we think of him." It's honestly fascinating to see how gracefully these astronomers reconcile their theology with the sheer statistical probability of alien life existing out there in the Milky Way.
Now, a protocol is officially defined as a procedure or system of rules governing state affairs. But here's the funny thing. Despite taking the subject seriously enough to host global scientific conferences on extraterrestrial life, the observatory director actually admits they have absolutely no secret protocol for what to do if we ever make contact.
So, when the secret archives from 1978 are finally unsealed in 2048, will they rewrite history? Or will they just prove that reality is far less sensational than the myths? As we wrap up this explainer, you really have to wonder, will releasing those documents finally put these mysteries to rest? Or is it just going to spark an entirely new generation of questions?